You're listening to an episode of the Bible Talk Show, a production from Bernard Studios, where the truth never goes off the air.
Coming up tonight on the Bible Talk Show, where the truth never goes off air. A royal advisor arrested for praying, a king tricked by his own officials, and a night in the lion's den that ends in a miracle. But before we get into our story, let's head over to Walter for a look at where in the Bible we are.
Thanks, Mr. Kingsley. We're reporting live from the Old Testament in the book of Daniel, chapters 1 through 6. The story begins in Babylon, where Daniel, a young man from Jerusalem, has been taken captive. But even in a foreign land, he stays faithful to God and quickly rises to a high position in the royal court. Daniel's story covers dream interpretations, royal promotions, jealous rivals, and one incredible act of faith that lands him in a den of lions and in the pages of history. Back to you, Mr. Kingsley.
Thank you, Walter. And joining us tonight is the man himself. Please welcome Daniel. Daniel, welcome to the Bible Talks.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Daniel, let's start at the beginning. You were just a teenager when you were taken to Babylon. What was that like?
It was difficult. We were far from home, a place with new customs and gods. But even then, I made up my mind to stay faithful to the Lord, even when others didn't.
And that meant saying no to the king's food, right?
That's right. My friends and I asked to eat only vegetables and drink water. God helped us stay strong and healthy, and that showed the officials that His way works.
From there, your career skyrocketed. You served under several kings and even became one of King Darius's top advisors. But not everyone was happy about that.
No, they weren't. Some officials grew jealous and wanted me out of the way. When they couldn't find anything wrong with how I worked, they decided to attack my faith instead.
That's when they convinced King Darius to sign a new law. No one could pray to anyone except the king for 30 days. And you didn't follow it.
I didn't. I prayed to God 3 times a day, just like I always had. I couldn't stop doing what was right just because it was against the rules.
And that decision landed you, quite literally, breaking news, the lion's den. Tell us what happened next.
The soldiers led me to the pit as the sun was setting. The heavy stone door slid aside, and I could hear the growls echoing inside. King Darius came to me and said, "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." Then the stone was rolled back, and I was left in the dark.
Oh, that must have been terrifying.
Could have been, but I wasn't alone. I began to pray, and suddenly, everything changed. The lions grew calm, and I could see their eyes glinting in the faint light, but they didn't move towards me. That's when I realized that God has sent His angel. The angel stood there, radiant and strong, and the lions lay down quietly, almost like gentle house cats. All through the night, they rested at my feet, and I could feel the peace of God in that den more than I ever had in that palace.
So you spent the whole night there with lions, but unharmed?
Yes, the angel stayed with me until dawn. Not a single scratch, no growls, just silence and peace. When morning came, I heard footsteps and the sound of the stone being moved. First voice I heard was the king's trembling as he called out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God rescued you from the lions?" And I called back, "My God sent His angel to shut the lions' mouths. They have not hurt me."
That must have been an incredible moment. I bet the king was relieved when he realized you were alive.
Yes, King Darius' face lit up with joy. He immediately ordered the guards to lift me out. Everyone watched as I stepped into the sunlight completely unharmed. The king knew right then that the living God had protected me.
And what happened to the officials who plotted against you?
Well, the king saw the truth, how they had tricked him. Justice was served swiftly, and then King Darius made a new royal decree that reached across his empire. Everyone must fear and revere the God of Daniel, for he is the living God who endures forever. He rescues and he saves. It was the first time the entire kingdom had heard the name of the one true God proclaimed by a Persian king.
Daniel, after all that, years in a foreign land, pressure to change, even a night among lions, your faith never wavered. How did you keep trusting God through everything?
Because I've seen what happens when you do. I've learned that faith doesn't mean life will be easy. It just means you'll never face it alone. Every trial was a chance to see God's power more clearly.
Beautifully said. What would you say to the kids listening tonight? Those who might feel scared or alone?
I would tell them, don't be afraid to stand firm in your faith. Even when it feels like everyone else is doing the opposite, trust that God sees you. He's with you every moment. Whether it's a lion's den or a classroom, he can give you courage to do what's right. And remember, courage doesn't come from being fearless. It comes from trusting God more than your fear.
Daniel, thank you for sharing your story and reminding us that true strength comes from trusting God.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Kingsley.
That was Daniel, from captive in a foreign land to faithful advisor who trusted God through every trial. His story reminds us that God is powerful, present, and able to save, even in the darkest den. And when we stand firm in our faith, he stands with us. I'm Mr. Kingsley, and this has been the Bible Talk Show. Thanks for joining us, and remember, the truth never goes off air. Good night, everyone.
This has been an episode of the Bible Talk Show, a production from Bernard Studios. This episode was written and directed by Abigail Bernard. Our vocal talent included Barrett Richards as Mr. Kingsley, Matthew Bull as intern Walter, Jason Kiefer as Daniel. Tune in next week for another episode of the Bible Talk Show, where the truth never goes off the air.